Hello, second grade writers. Today we're going to continue with Lesson 6 for Unit 5, Module B. Our vocabulary word for this lesson is advertisement. An advertisement is a notice or announcement promoting a product, service, or event or publicizing a job vacancy. So advertisements we can see in the newspaper, in magazines, on billboards, or even on TV. Television commercials would be advertisements. Our objectives for today. Our convention's objective is, I will be able to rearrange simple sentences. And our writing objective is, I will be able to write narratives that describe actions, thoughts, and feelings. Convention's mini lesson, rearrange simple sentences. Remember that a simple sentence has a subject and a predicate. Writers can make their writing more interesting to read by varying or changing their sentences by rearranging their parts. Let's look at this first sentence. Sentence number 1. She wrote 8 books about living on the prairie. Sentence number 2. Her life on the prairie filled the 8 books she wrote. Rearranging simple sentences can keep you from starting your sentences the same way over and over. In your online writing journal, for the conventions for Lesson 6, you will rearrange simple sentences. Rewrite the sentences below in a new way. I will read each sentence to you. Number 1 says, the pioneers found gold in California. Number 2, but this destiny came at a price. Number 3, those who refused to leave faced the force of the U.S. Army. So I will show you how to rearrange sentence number 1. You could change and add some of the words. We make this a little bit bigger. So I can say, when the pioneers were in California, they found gold. Okay, so it's expressing the same idea, it's just worded a little bit differently. I'm going to see if you can do numbers 2 and 3 on your own. Try your best. Narrative writing. Use images. Writers of narratives can use images such as maps. Here's a picture of a map. Illustrations. This is an illustration. Remember that an illustration means that it was drawn by hand. And photographs. Here is a photograph. It's a picture that's taken with a camera to clarify or make clear things about the events being described. Maps might show where the characters live or where they go. Illustrations and photographs can show what they or the things they do look like. Examining or looking closely the images a writer includes can help the reader understand the characters, setting, and events better. Okay, so if we were to look carefully at these photographs, illustrations, or the map, okay, we would focus on these questions. So during reading, readers can focus their attention on how different images help to clarify. Remember, clarify means to make clear a narrative by keeping some questions in mind as you read. Let's look at these questions. What is this image and what type of information does this sort of image usually contain? What information can I locate or find in this image? Did the writer include a caption that provides more detailed information about the image? And how does this image relate to the information in the rest of the text? When writers write narrative stories, they help their readers understand the people, places, and events by including images such as illustrations, photographs, and maps. Let's look at how an image the writer includes can help the reader understand more about the life of the subject of a text. So this illustration is on page 15. Laura called her Kansas home the little house on the prairie. Prairie is land made up of open fields of grass. The picture shows what it would have looked like inside. This photograph shows what Laura's Kansas home would have looked like. It provides details the writer did not include in the text, such as what the house and furnishings were made of, wood, and what things her family might have owned. Okay, so this is a picture of a map from page 17. So the map's caption says, Laura's family moved many times, as this map shows, before settling in the Dakota Territory. The writer included this map to help the reader better understand the locations of the places where Laura's family lived in relation to one another, as well as the location of the area where the family settled for good. Plan out illustrations for a narrative. So if I were to model deciding on an illustration that will show more detail, as I look for events that might need an illustration that will help the reader picture what is happening or what something is like, I think that the blizzard the family experienced is something I would like to give more detail about. Let's decide what type of illustration we want to include in order to give the reader more detail about the blizzard. We also need to think about the description we should include and what facts or details to give the reader. Remember, blizzard's one of our vocabulary words. It means a snowstorm during the winter. If you remember, a way to remember this word is that the word bad begins with the letter B. Blizzard also begins with the letter B. So a blizzard is a really bad snowstorm. Okay, so if we were to write a caption for an illustration based on the text, the event we are writing about is that the family experienced a blizzard, or a bad snowstorm, while struggling to live in the Dakota Territory. We will include an illustration that shows the small home in which the family lives surrounded by large piles of snow. The caption will explain that the family is cut off from supplies by the blizzard. The illustration will help the reader understand just how hard life in the Dakota Territory was for pioneers. So in your online writing journal, under Lesson 6, you will return to your Laura Ingalls Wilder narrative. Plan some illustrations that you want to include with your narrative, noting why each one would be useful to the reader. List the main event of your narrative and the kinds of illustrations you want to include. Then write a short description and caption for each illustration. Write your plan on a separate sheet of paper. So you're going to be typing this in. So what you could do, I'll show you, right? So if you wanted to include a photograph, right, you could type in photograph and then explain why this is going to help your reader better understand your writing. Okay, and you can include what the photograph would be. You might also want to include a map or an illustration. Okay, so you can draw these out on a separate piece of paper, but what I want you to do is, if you're going to include each one of these, then tell me, how is this helpful to the reader, right? Give me a description of what the photograph is of the map or the illustration, and then give me a caption for each. Okay, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me on Google Classroom. I'm also more than happy to do a Zoom meeting or to do a Google Hangout. Thank you.